Okay, I just finished reading Tom Clancy's The Division Hunted, and I must say, it's revealed a lot of information that I am confused about, and on another note, have more clarity. And I'll try to limit to the best of my ability spoilers. That being said, let's get into this. Now, this story has more than a few interesting characters, but the story arc surrounds two of them mainly that eventually end up converging in the middle. Agent Maira Kanhi and Agent Brenda. She's the one who recruited and trained Maira. The story begins with Maira bloody, shot, and on the brink of death while a hunter is hot on her tail. She barely escapes, and when she does, reconnects her SHD watch only to discover that she'd been classified as rogue. Now just remember this. Maira is a very skilled coder and technician who Natalya Sokolova has taken a keen interest in. Now going back to Agent Brenda, a senior agent named Thaddeus Green informed Brenda that Agent Maira has been classified as rogue. Reason being that she killed 2 division agents and Thaddeus's agenda is to now hunt Maira down and take her out. But Brenda, being her recruiter and trainer, couldn't bring herself to believe that Maira did this. So she gathers her team to make the journey to her last known location and collect Maira safely to find out what exactly happened. So these stories will converge soon. Fast forward to Maira. She's face down in a river, unconscious and barely alive, being fished out and rescued on orders of Natalya Sokolova utilizing the Black Tusk. Mind you, she is in control of them. She calls all the shots and is apparently the head of the Black Tusk, the entire Black Tusk. Her interest in Maira is that of utilizing her skills that I spoke of before to infiltrate the server that hosts both the Black Tusk network and the Division Shade network alike. You see, these both that the Black Tusk and we, the Division, use stem from the same source, 2 branches on a single tree, and require a skilled coder and technician to create a code that could infiltrate the server and give the user complete control over the sabotage of either network at any time. This would completely cripple whoever is on the receiving end. None of the Division tech would be usable in any fight, no drones, no secret mines, nothing. Now, after Natalya's doctors nursed Maira back to health, she was able to deceitfully convince her to create this code for her. And with the very first iteration being extremely successful in a test run, Natalya decided to perform a field test. Unbeknownst to Maira, this field test was going to be against a Division core located in the area. By the way, a Division core is considered one of their bases of operations that houses cells containing groups of Division agents ready to perform missions or do whatever is necessary at the time. The purpose of a Division agent. Now, before heading out to this field test, Maira somehow figured out that she was being manipulated the entire time into creating this code by Natalya. She also discovered that this code was being used to sabotage the Division Shade network in an attempt to destroy their core. Furthermore, if this proved successful, could spell disaster for the entire future of the Division as we know it. So Maira, with this information, had a plot of her own. She sabotaged the Black Tusk network instead, thwarting Natalya's entire plan and skillfully escaping in an aircraft. But through the radio, heard the voice of Natalya trying to convince her to come back. That the damage could be undone and all would be forgiven and she'd just come back. Now listen here. Natalya, to me, personally, is a sociopath. In a nutshell, this is someone with a behavior that lacks any conscience. This is why everyone is afraid of Natalya. Anyone who goes against her disappears and can easily manipulate others like Maira, which she tried to do again by asking her to come back. But Maira didn't fall for it this time. With a better understanding of who Natalya is and a clear conscience on top of the fact that Maira is a Shade agent at heart, could not bring herself to continue this madness, so she refused. This is where things began to get crazy because after Maira refused, Natalya replied with the coldest response. Okay then, goodbye. It's like her true self came out at that moment, and Maira then knew that Natalya was speaking to her as if that is the last time she'd see her in this life. Natalya trusted no one at the end of the day, and because of that, had fail-safes in place everywhere, just in case she needed to capitalize on them. This aircraft that Maira commandeered just so happened to have an explosive in the engine ready to detonate. And it did. An explosion just large enough to bring the aircraft down, and once it crashed, she lived. But this is where Maira met up with the 2 division agents that she supposedly killed. You know, the ones that Agent Thaddeus accused her of. Now, coincidentally, after the 2 agents came to her aid and had brief discussions as to what happened with the network, some stuff was funky, some stuff was happening over the Shade network, and just trying to understand who she was, in the distance came a dark figure, masked and a chess piece lit up with flashing red and orange lights of Shade watches, disavowed status or otherwise. Signature axe in hand with ill intent. There is no doubt in my mind that Natalya sent this hunter to finish the job. The 2 division agents being caught in the middle and quickly becoming victims to the onslaught of this wraith. The division agent's tech being scrambled as he approaches, then one immediately catching an axe to the head, then the other to the abdomen, unfazed as he approached, because they did attempt to open fire only to have the bullets just bounce off his advanced armor. In all of the confusion, Maira was able to retrieve a flashbang grenade and toss it directly at the hunter's mask, disorienting them both, but this gave Maira an opportunity to escape with her life. Now here's where the story converges, where Agent Brenda and her cell actually find Maira held up at an abandoned compound, fortified and waiting for this hunter as he is still on her tail. They're confused because once they found her, Maira had Brenda in her sight, her scope, or so she thought. Little did they know, they just inadvertently put themselves in the middle of a hunter tracking its prey. Maira, for as much as she'd prepared for his arrival, may have not been enough. The hunter coming through in traditional fashion, being mysteriously threatening and ominous. You see him, but you don't. And with all the confidence in the world, was able to stand up against 5 division agents. You see, I now understand why encountering hunters in the Division 2 game, they are so tanky. Why it feels like when shooting them, it almost has 0 effect. Because it has the same effect in this scenario. As the Wraith lunges towards the agents, the bullets being fired at him bouncing off as if they're non-existent, using his axe to cause serious damage to those in range, wounding with a slicing precision. In the midst of it all, you think that the agents gain an advantage, only for him to counter their every attempt at trying. Every attack is calculated. Every move this hunter makes is as if his battle instincts are far above any Shade training has ever been. Even when he's wounded, there's no sigh of pain. And somehow, everyone gets out alive and end up once again ahead of the hunter's grasps. Now let me just tell you the purpose of the story. It's for Maira to reclaim this code she created and destroy it. Being that it's still in the hands of Sokolova, but it has a firewall that Maira has protected it with. Not long until the Black Tusk technicians breach it, so time is of the essence. They've been put in an impossible situation to try and accomplish this feat. A hunter on their heels while trying to infiltrate a fortified Black Tusk base and destroy this code. But I think it's time to wrap this analysis up and get to the point of my understanding of the confusion. At the end of this story, I won't spoil it, but Calvin McManus, aka Cal, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and Natalya Sokolova accompany one another in her aircraft flying to some unknown location. First of all, this doesn't make much sense. This entire story was about Natalya trying to secure a code that could sabotage the Homeland Division at will. Natalya is clearly trying to take the division out by any means necessary. Why are she and Cal, the Secretary of Homeland Security, working together? Furthermore, why does Natalya need a code to shut down Division Shade Tech when the hunters already have the capability to do that at will whenever they come around? And it seems that the hunters also follow her every command. Oh, and one more thing. The hunter that's been chasing Maira throughout this story actually turned out to be none other than Thaddeus Green. Yes, the senior agent who accused Maira of killing the 2 rogue agents whom he himself killed while attempting to take Maira out. So you see, there's nothing admirable about the hunters, like how Brian Johnson describes. The way this story describes it is as if they have no honor. They're ruthless and they kill division agents and rogue agents alike to fulfill the needs and desires of Natalya. This gives me a way better understanding as to what Aaron Keener said in his last breath. Makes me think that him and 𝐕𝐚𝐺 were maybe right to go rogue, to not conform to what the division stands for, because the way I see it, the standard division agent has no idea what's going on. Like you and I, we have no idea what's going on. They had no idea what the hunters were or who they could be, and apparently they could be any division agent without anyone even knowing. Just take the example of Agent Thaddeus Green. So it seems to be that the average shade agent has no idea what's going on and is following a facade, subject to a shade network that is susceptible to sabotage, deletion of crucial information, an 𝐬𝐤𝐬 who clearly cannot reason beyond the logic of an AI. And the powers that be, Natalya, Cal, the hunters, are the ones who really are in charge, trying to come up with ways to become an insurmountable force that cannot be stopped, with Natalya having a code to control the narrative of any fight, and Cal along for the ride. Finally, the hunter having armor, tech, and so much more to completely shut down any shade agent's capabilities to fight against them. In conclusion, I think that even though things have been cleared up a bit for me, the questions that remain in my head about what the hunter's tech is or who Natalya ultimately answers to and what is really behind all this are questions that will only be answered in the Division 3, also whatever books are to come out after this one. That's all I have for you in this book titled Hunted. It was a great read and I definitely recommend it. I've not read the other books before it, but maybe I will. I appreciate you listening to the end and would love to hear your take on all of this. If you enjoy this in any way, I'd appreciate a like on the video. Also, subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you in the next one. Be right out.